Hey y'all, it's Linda. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to do an update on my makeup inventory. I started this maybe like a year and a half ago, where I want to regularly go through my collection and count how many items that I have. And my reasoning for kind of doing this is because when I started my low buy in the beginning of 2022, my goal was to have my collection be a bit more curated. So I was doing a lot of declutters. I was being really careful about what I brought into my collection and not bringing stuff on just for the sake of collecting it, even though technically I kind of am a makeup collector, but still I just want to be more thoughtful about my collection in general. So I started doing the inventory. I did it once and then I did massive declutters, and I did another inventory in February of 2023. I have not done one since then, and a lot has happened since February 2023. So I did move to this new house in January, and before we moved, I did a massive declutter just to get rid of some stuff, not have as much stuff come over with me. So my collection was definitely like downsized by a lot. Like I think I got rid of like 200 pieces of makeup. And when I say makeup, I mean every kind of makeup and also makeup brushes, okay? The things that I have not counted, I don't count things like makeup bags or makeup mirrors or things like that, or tools like tweezers. I'm really counting pure makeup and makeup brushes. There also is some makeup that I don't count in this because I really don't have enough to even make it worth it. Like for example, shadow sticks. I think I have like 4, and I'm probably always gonna have like 4. I also don't count lashes or lash glue. I don't wear them that often. So if they're in my collection, they've probably been there for quite some time. So things like that, I don't count, but I did definitely count. Let me see how many categories I count. 23, I count 23 different categories, and this year was a very different one for me. So this year I did eventually go over 10,000 subscribers, and I'm not sure if 10,000 was my magic number or something like that, but I did find myself on a couple of PR lists that I was not on prior to hitting 10,000. But on top of that, this year I was also lucky enough to go to the Creators and Friends trip in Charleston. And when I was there, we got like a massive bag of goodies. So, you know, like a lot of it came from that, and I have not done a single declutter since then. So here's my personal goal, okay? I wanted to go over and I wanted to count everything, compare it against February to see whether or not the numbers went up or down in each category, do a final total, and then for me, that is going to kick off my declutter series. So I am going to be doing some massive declutters between now and the end of the year, because no one is telling me you have to get rid of this stuff. But for me personally, if I'm not using it, and if it is not something I'm keeping purely for a collection's sake, I do have a few of those, then it can go to a better home where it will be used more. My friends usually tend to really appreciate like when I bring out the big box of makeup and I say, go. So I love doing that. I love being able to see my stuff go to new homes and hear about it being worn more often. It really does make me happy. It makes my heart happy. So anyway, let's jump right into this because these results were a bit telling. Real quick, right before we jump into this, I do have my whole list right here. I want you to tell me down below that when it comes to declutters, do you prefer to see one big declutter video, like maybe it's like an hour long, but I go through my entire makeup collection and I just declutter it? Or do you prefer like type of product by type of product, like maybe face products, eyeshadows, blah, 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 lip products? You know, do you prefer it to be separated, or do you like one big video? Tell me down below. Let's get right into this. All right, let's start with foundation. In February of this year, I started with 10 foundations, and now I have 12 foundations. So while it doesn't really bum me out too much that I went up 2, because I don't think that's an extreme amount, and also for all of these, I count any backups that I have. So I do have a few backups of foundations, ones that have been discontinued or ones that a brand sent to me when I already had an open one and I didn't want to open 2 obviously at once. So I do count that, but I'm not too upset by that. But at the same time, there's one that's basically empty, and I know there's at least 4 that are basically empty, and there are at least 2 additional ones that I'm just kind of trying to get through. And that sort of annoys me about myself, because one of my big low buy rules was also use the good stuff, but also don't feel the need to use the crappy stuff. Like if there's a foundation I don't like over there, why am I continuing to use it just to use it up? Whereas I could pass part of that on to a friend who might actually get some good use out of it. So I did go up 2. I'm not too disappointed in that, but we are doing declutter. Concealer is a weird one. I started off at 2 and now I have 6. And a big reason for that is because I found 2 different concealers that I like, and I bought them each in 2 different shades to create my perfect shade. So that's how I got 4 additional concealers, and like there were some that are out, some are in my empties right now, and then some new ones that came in. So I did go up by 4. I'm not too disappointed in that, but I do know of at least 1, maybe 2 concealers that I can go ahead and let go. For powder, this one was funny to me because I don't use powder all the time. I didn't use powder today, so maybe my forehead is extra shiny, or maybe my under eyes are creasing. Oh my God, I just don't like powder. I have dry skin, so I don't use powder every day. I went from 2 powders to 5 powders. 2 to 5, and somehow I think like 3 of those are loose powders. I don't need 3 loose powders. I need 1 loose powder personally, especially considering I don't wear powder every day. I do like having powder in my arsenal because I do have some days where I want my makeup to really, really last. And then of course I'll use some powder under my eyes or in my T-zone. But a lot of days I just don't wear it. So why do I have 5 open powders? No, that's unnecessary. Sticking with the bases, I did separate this. One of them is primer and one of them is glow bases. So when I think of primer, I think of like the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. When I think of glow bases, I think of like the Auric Glow Lust. So when it comes to primers, I started off at 2 and now I have 3. I don't think that's too extreme, adding 1 more to my collection, but with glow bases, I started off with 4 and now I have 3. So I went down 1. So it kind of evened out, right? And I do use primer or a glow base every day. I do use glow bases as a primer, even though a lot of people probably think you're not supposed to. I do. So I think that kind of balances out, right? Setting spray is easy. I started with 5. I've ended with 5. But I do know of at least 1 that is not just going to be decluttered, okay? I think I'm going to put it in my front yard and set it on fire. Okay, you're going to have to watch my declutter to figure out which one that is. And if you watch my Instagram stories, you might already know which one that is, but it's good. Like, I have words about that setting spray. All right, we're moving on to makeup proper. And we're going to stick with the face, and we're going to start with highlighters. I love highlighter. Highlighter is one of those makeup products that to this day just kind of fills my heart with joy. I don't know what it is, but when it's that last step and I just get that glow on my cheek, it makes me so happy. And it feels like my finishing step. It feels so good. It makes my skin glow. I love highlighter. So I started with 22, which is already a pretty sizable collection. I would say 22 highlighters. I now have 31. I added 9 highlighters I've added. That's a lot, okay? That's a lot of highlighters added. And that is one of the categories that I have the most difficult time decluttering. I really do, because I'm like, oh, but it's so pretty. Oh, but it's so pretty. And even if they look exactly the same, like I have several that are like champagne gold colored, I have such trouble getting rid of them. And again, I'm not telling myself, you have to get rid of these. You have to they're like forcing myself to get rid of them. But I want to take my collection down a bit. Maybe there are other places I can do it. Maybe I'm not going to declutter a single highlighter. Maybe I'll declutter 15, who knows? But for right now, I went up 9, and that does seem like a lot in a short period of time, like 8 months or so. To go up by 9, that's more than 1 highlighter a month. Ooh, girl. Still though, I really do love highlighter. It makes me happy. But let's move on to blush. I started out with 37. The reason this is so amusing to me is because there were so many years, and I'm talking decades, where I didn't wear any blush, okay? Where I thought blush was basically the devil. And then there was a point when I fell in love with blush. I'm not sure when that exact moment was, but I definitely fell in lust with blush. And I started collecting and kept on collecting. And I think this was also the year of blush in PR. I did receive several collections in PR of blush. So like that added like rapid fire to the collection. So you guys, I have 57 now. I added 20 blushes in 8 months, 20 in 8 months. That is going to be another category very difficult for me to declutter. Very difficult because I really, really love blush right now. Like I love playing with blush. I love shimmery blushes, cream, matte, powder. I love all of them. And I want to keep them all. And again, maybe I will, maybe I won't. We're going to have to stay tuned to the declutters for that. But adding 20 blushes in 8 months, that's a lot. I have one face. I can't wear 20 blushes, 57 blushes. I can't wear 57 blushes. Like if I were to choose a blush to wear every week, I would go more than a year before I had to repeat one. Oh my God. That's kind of crazy to me. It's kind of crazy. Now I put bronzer and contour in the same section. I started off with 6. I ended up with 10. And I do know there are some I can declutter in there. There are some I'm just not using anymore. There are some that are quite old. I know there's at least a few I can declutter in there simply because they're just not getting the use they should, or they just don't work for me anymore. And that's fine. That's fine if they don't work for me and they can go on to a new home. But yeah, as of right now, I added 4 bronzers and contours. Let's talk about eyeliner. Now I did separate this into 3 categories, okay? We've got gel, we've got pencil, and we've got liquid. Let's start with gel liners. As far as gel liners, I started with 10, I've ended with 10. I did like lose some and gain some, so there were a couple of swaps in there, but I have the same amount I started with, and I really do like those all. Those are another thing that I have a very hard time decluttering because even though I don't use them every day, they are a makeup product, again, that really brings me a lot of joy and happiness. So I don't know what we're gonna do there, but we'll at least take a look. For pencil liners, this one was kind of interesting to me, okay? I started at 29. I currently have 26. And the reason that's interesting to me is because I don't remember getting rid of 3. I don't know where they would have gone. I don't remember losing 3. I remember like gaining some pencil liners. I don't remember losing a bunch. So that one kind of like baffled me a little bit. I'm not mad about it because that's still a very sizable amount of pencil liners, but I just don't remember where they would have gone. So it's just a little concerning. Like what little goblin is coming in the middle of the night and the only thing they want to steal are my pencil liners? I mean, you go girl, like get your makeup on, get your fancy on, goblin, but like what you doing? Liquid liner, I also started with 6, I ended with 6, and I know that some of those can go because I think some of them have dried out and I'm having a hard time letting go. And I know specifically which ones they are. And these specific ones I'm having a hard time letting go, which I know sounds weird about liquid liner, but we'll explain whenever we come to the declutter. Eyeshadow palettes. Eyeshadow palettes. I started with 54. I started with 54 eyeshadow palettes, which in the grand scheme of things, when you look at YouTubers, that is kind of nothing, okay? I have friends who have hundreds upon hundreds of eyeshadow palettes, okay? And they don't feel the need to declutter a single one. And I'm like, you know what? Bravo to you, because that's your jam. I love it, whatever makes you happy. Or they keep them so that they can swatch them against different eyeshadow palettes. I prefer to definitely have a little bit more of a curated collection when it comes to eyeshadow palettes because I really want to make sure they're getting used. I started with 54. I now have 77. 77. I have 77 eyeshadow palettes. 77. How could I ever use that many palettes? That's so many. That is so many. And there are so many I know I should declutter. There's so many I should declutter. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I do know of at least like one though, where I think I can even like sell it on Mercari. But the thing is, like, if I get a palette in PR, I will never sell it. Those are ones that I only give away to family and friends. But if it's something I purchase with my own money and can sanitize and resell, like, hell yeah, why don't I do that? But 77 eyeshadow palettes, like that feels like a lot. And I know there are gonna be those of you who comment down below and you're gonna be like, girl, I have 3 times that amount. And that's rad. That's rad. But for me, again, personally, I just really want to pay attention to like curating my collection more. And I don't feel like having 77 eyeshadow palettes does that. So I'm not beating myself up. I'm just like, it's just kind of like, I guess you'd say a come to Jesus moment where I'm like, wow, I did not know that that was a number that existed. Let's talk about single shadows. I started with 11. I am now at 14. I don't think that's an extreme amount. I only added 3 additional single shadows to my collection, and I do love my single shadows. So those will probably all stay in my collection, but you never know. Liquid shadows, okay? I was surprised by this number. And I know I was surprised at first, but then I know what happened, okay? I started with 12. I now have 16, okay? And the reason I was surprised is because I went on a spree where I purchased a ton of those About Face liquid shadows. But I think once I did that, I noticed how many liquid shadows I had in my collection, and I gave a bunch away to friends at that point. And I didn't do like an official declutter, but I just was like, you know what, if I'm not using these, and I grabbed probably like 10 of them and gave them away to friends. So I think that's why the number only went up by 4, but 16, I'm actually good with that. As long as they're not dried out, as long as they don't smell at all, because you got to watch out for that when it comes to liquid shadows, I think that's an okay number. Now I'm going to put eyebrow products and mascara kind of together on the screen. For brow products, I started with 9. I now have 11. And I know that was because a certain company sent me several brow products at once, but there are some that are drying out that can go immediately. So I will be decluttering some of those. And for mascara, hear me out here. I started at 3. I now have 9. That does not mean I have 9 open. I think I currently have 3 open. But I have kind of an obscene amount of backups of mascara because I do have brands that have sent me mascaras and I don't want to open them and try them until I've used what's already open. You know what I mean? I just don't want to. And I will be the first to admit, I know it's bad. Is this like Scout's Honor or whatever, saying that like I am not somebody who throws my mascara away after 6 months. Don't do as I do. Don't do as I do, because I know you're supposed to for very important reasons, but I don't, okay? I don't throw my mascara away after 6 months, and that will probably be why I will come on camera with an eye infection someday. But as of right now, I like to use a mascara until it's gone, or until it's too dry, or until something's wrong with it. I know that's bad because by the time it's gotten there, it's too late. But if I like a mascara, sometimes I feel like it gets better as it gets older. Tell me I'm wrong. So yes, a lot of those are backups and they are sealed, and I could probably get rid of a few of the backups, absolutely, and I probably will wind up doing that. For my glitter and glitter adhesive, both numbers stayed the same. So for glitter, started out with 29, currently have 29. Adhesive started out with 6, currently have 6. I'm not adding any more glitter to my collection at this point in time. And that's because I know that a lot of glitters are not eco-safe, and I do try to take them off and be conscious about that, using tape and throwing it away instead of rinsing it down the drain or anything like that. But nonetheless, like, I know it's not the best thing for the environment, so I am trying to not purchase anymore, or, if I do purchase one, it would have to be really, really special. Oh, I didn't want to talk about this one. Lipstick. So when I talk about lipstick, I'm talking about bullet lipsticks and liquid lipsticks. I don't like this. I started out at 47. That already feels to me like a lot of lipstick, okay? It feels like a lot of lipstick. It's 47 lipsticks. Again, that's almost, if you were to use one a week, then you would almost not repeat. But like, I now have 92. 92. I have 92 lipsticks. 92. That is almost 2 years of if you were to wear one a week that you wouldn't. Oh my gosh. 92 is too many for me. Okay. It's too many for me. I need to let some of those go. I'm trying to think about it right now and I don't know which ones I'm going to let go. But the thing is, lipsticks do go funky. They definitely do go funky quicker than, like, let's say an eyeshadow palette. So there's no need to have 92 in my collection when I could sanitize that puppy and give it to somebody else. Like, 92. That means I added 45 lipsticks to my collection since February. 45. Now, have I purchased any lipstick in that time? That might be all ones that were sent to me. Again, please also don't take this as like I'm saying anything bad about the brands for sending these to me. I am so effing grateful whenever I receive anything from brands. And if they want to send me more than one shade of something, I'm like, wow, like that really means a lot to me because I love being able to test and try out new makeup. Or sometimes I will buy it. No, I did. I bought some like Melt, the Halloween Town collection. I bought several. But at the same time, like, that's a lot. 92 is a lot. 92 is a lot. Some of those got to go. Lip gloss. I didn't do much better. I started out at 27. I now have 45. I added 18 lip glosses to my collection in 8 months. 18 in 8 months. That seems extreme, right? 45 lip glosses. And I don't wear gloss every day. And I have ones that I love and I continuously gravitate back towards. So why do I have 45? I definitely want to do a big lip declutter. Maybe that would have to be its own video. Again, please tell me down below whether you prefer one big declutter or several declutters of like different categories, but that's a big one that's got to go. And by the way, that includes lip gloss and lip oil. I put those both in the same category. For lip pencils, this one is kind of funny to me. Okay, I started at 26. I now have 35. Do I feel like that's enough? Oddly, I don't, because I look through my lip pencil collection all the time, and I'm amazed at some colors I don't have. I have a tendency to have a lot of the same color. Brownie pink nude. I have so many of those. But for example, a true pink, just like a Barbie-ass like pink, I don't have any. None. I have a ton of like cool mauve or blah, 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 but I don't have pink. As far as red, and I wear red lipstick quite a bit, I have one. As far as a dark color, if I want to wear black or like a really deep dark purple, I have one. So like, I really want to make that collection a bit more balanced. I'm okay with the number, but it needs to be more balanced. Like I need to add some. Please comment down below and tell me what your favorite lip liners are, either for a dark look, like a super dark look, or a proper just pink, bubblegum pink, okay? Because I need to add those to my collection. And then for the final category, can you believe we're already at the final category? We're gonna talk brushes. We are gonna talk brushes. So before I did my last inventory, I did a massive brush declutter and got rid of like 75 brushes, okay? I got rid of so many, and I wound up at 141 brushes, which is still a lot for somebody who only has one face, one visage over here that I can use these brushes on. I'm not a makeup artist. I'm not using these on other people. So 141, kind of crazy, right? But it's not as crazy as where I am now. I have 175 now. I have added 34 brushes to my collection since February. And here's also my problem. I've talked about this in the past, but when I was first starting to get into makeup, okay, in the very early 2000s, like, so let's say like between like 2001, 2005, brushes were like my holy grail, where I would save up and save up and save up to buy one brush, okay? And it was always a MAC brush. It was always a MAC brush. Do I still have, yep, look at this. Wait, look. I have so much trouble getting rid of this, even though this brush is falling apart at the seams. But I remember this one brush was like $50, and I worked really hard. Like at the time, I was working at like Hot Topic or Borders Books and Music. And do you know how long it took for me to get up the money to afford a $55 brush? It took a while. So it was a big deal to get one brush. So that is why now I have a very, very, very hard time decluttering them. Because when a brand sends me brushes, I like clutch them to my chest like they are the freaking like I'm the Raiders of the Lost Ark and I've just found the treasure. Like, it is so difficult for me to get rid of brushes. But 34 additions, I'm looking at my collection right now and I'm going, okay, I could get rid of some of you, right? Can I though? I see at least 2 that I can get rid of. I see at least 2. So I've shown this before. That's a lot of brushes. This is my brush collection though, and I definitely look in here and I see several I can get rid of. I really do. That might be that'll probably have to be a video all on its own, because that's a lot of brushes, right? So let's talk totals, my entire makeup collection, okay? I started off at 490 pieces of makeup and brushes, 490. And save for a very few categories on this page, most of these categories went up. I now have 683. In 8 months, I have added nearly 200 pieces to my collection, and that is insane considering I am on a low buy. I know myself, and I want to be better at just passing stuff on to other people if I know I'm not going to use it as much. Now, again, I might go through my whole collection in a declutter, and I might get rid of 10 pieces total, and that's okay. That's okay, because that means those are 10 pieces that will go on to better homes, that can make me really like be able to look in my makeup drawers and see things more. Because that was the biggest kind of revelation I had from a declutter, is that I could see the products I loved that much more because there was more space for them to move around, and it makes me happier to be able to use the stuff I have. So that's where we are right now. I have added 193 pieces of makeup to my collection since February. Don't know where the accent came from, but it just came from within, and I'm just going to let it happen. But that's it. That's where we are. Our starting point at the end of October 2023 is 683 pieces of makeup. And I don't know how to feel about it, okay? Because again, like, I feel like the last time I did an inventory, people kept saying and commenting to me, girl, you don't need to get rid of any of it. You don't have to. No one's forcing you to. No one's forcing me to. There are people who have collections 5 times this size, 6, 7, 10 times this size. but I want to get rid of some of it because, again, I want to be able to see my stuff being used and loved, and I want to be able to see my collection more clearly and really have that beautiful curated collection where I know it's makeup I use and I love and I enjoy. So that's it. Stay tuned. There will be declutters before the end of the year. It's got to happen. I want it to happen. You want it to happen. We all want this to happen together. So stay tuned for that. But if you enjoyed this video, I want you to give it a thumbs up. That really helps out my channel, and it makes me know that you enjoy content like this and that maybe you're excited for the declutters. I'm excited for declutter. This kind of pumped me up. I'm not going to lie. You all can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Those are all GlitterFallout. And as always and forever, you are super freaking rock stars. I really do mean that. I hope you feel it every time I say it, because I don't say that idly. You know, I say that because you guys are literally my rock stars. You are my rocks. And I love you so much with my whole heart. And I'll see you in the next video.